Guys, we're going to be reading from the New Jerusalem version. You see all those tabs I got there? Okay, some Bibles don't have these introductions, so I'm reading to you today the introduction for Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel, and Kings, followed by the subtitles for Joshua. In these books, the history of Israel is continued from the death of Moses at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, and a constant theme is the recurring disobedience of the nations and often its rulers to the laws of God revealed by Moses and served by the prophets. Oral traditions and written documents of varying ages and characteristics were brought together to form the books as we know them. And these appear to have given continuity and a general consistency by successive editors profoundly influenced by the outlook of Deuteronomy between the time of Hoseia's reform, 622 BC, and the return from exile, 538. The book of Joshua describes the conquest of the Promised Land and the partition of the territory between tribes and ends with the last discourse of Joshua. All is centered on one heroic figure, and the complex history of the times is presented in a simplified picture. Here, the conquest is shown as a collective action of a united nation, whereas the first chapter of Judges depicts each of the tribes as fighting to win its own territory. Judges contains the traditions of the century and a half during which there was no king in Israel and the groups of tribes were led in war and ruled in peace by governors. The short book Ruth is placed within it because its story is set in the same period, but it doesn't really form a part of a single conspicuous of a national history which runs from Joshua to the end of Kings. The first and second books of Samuel mingle or place side by side various traditions relating to the beginnings of the monarchical period, the prophet Samuel, through whom God chooses Saul as the first of the kings, is represented as the last of the judges. The history of David's family and the disputed succession includes much eyewitness material which goes back to the time of his son Solomon, and the book contains other cycles and groups of stories which were probably combined before 700 BC. The period covered roughly the century ended by David's death in 1970. Saw the war of liberation against the Philistine invaders and the unification of national territory under Jerusalem as capital. For later generations, the reign of David remained the golden age, and the promises made to the house of David from Nathan's prophecy onwards sustained and nourished the messianic hope. The two books of Kings opened with the concluding chapters of the history of David's family begun in 2 Samuel 9 and are in continuation of Israel's national story up to the destruction of Jerusalem in 587. This includes the reign of Solomon and the building of his temple. After his death, the divided kingdoms of Israel are treated separately until Israel is extinguished by the Assyrians. The history of Judah alone is mainly concerned with two reigns, each remarkable for national revival, invasion by foreign armies, and religious reform, the reigns of Hezekiah and Hosea. Only these two of all the kings of Israel and Judah are given unqualified praise for fidelity to God's commands, the discovery of Deuteronomy in the reign of Hosea, and the religious reform inspired by its mark, the climax of the entire history. The book of Joshua is a book of war. The conquest of the Promised Land, the preparations. Chapter 1 is the summons to enter the Promised Land. Faithfulness to the law is a condition of God's aid and aid from tribes beyond the Jordan. Chapter 2 is the spies at Jericho and the pact between Rahab and the spies returning. Chapter 3 is before the crossing and the final instructions. The river was crossed. Chapter 4 is 12 memorial stones and the crossing ends. Gilgal is reached. Chapter 5 of Joshua is the people of the west are terrified. People west of the Jordan are terrified. The Hebrews are circumcised at Gilgal. The Passover is kept. conquest of Jericho and the prelude, a theophany. Chapter 6 is the taking of Jericho. Jericho placed in the ban, and Rahab, the harlot, her house was preserved. The curse upon Jericho is restored. Chapter 7 is the ban defiled and the sacrilege punished by a repulse at Ai. Joshua's prayer, Yahweh's answer. The culprit brought to light and punished in chapter 7. Chapter 8 is the taking of Ai and the command given to Joshua. Joshua's stratagem, battle of Ai, disaster for the people of Ai, the ban of the destruction of the town. Sacrifice on Mount Alba and the law was read there, the undressed stones, the altar of undressed stones, and the reading of the law. Chapter 9 is the treaty between Israel and the Gibeonites and the coalition against Israel. The ruse of the Gibeonites. You know what ruse means? It's like, not real, bullshit. It's bullshit. Ruse. The ruse of the Gibeonites. Gibeonites were placed in the community. Chapter 10 is 5 kings make war on Gibeon. Joshua comes to the rescue of Gibeon and aids from on high. 5 kings in a cave, read all about that. Joshua 10. The conquest of the southern towns of Canaan and the southern conquest recapitulated. Ulated. Recapitulated. Okay, the chapter 11 is the conquest of the north, the coalition of the northern kings, the victory at Merom, and the capture of Hazor and other northern towns. Orders of Moses carried out by Joshua and the Anakim wiped out. Chapter 12 is the recapitulation. 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 The kings conquered at the east of Jordan. These were the kings conquered west. These are the kings of the country whom Joshua and the Israelites conquered. Westward of Jordan, from Baal Gad in the vale of Lebanon to Mount Halak, rising toward Sierra. Joshua allotted their inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their divisions in the highlands and the lowlands, in Arabah and on the hillside, in the wilderness, and in Negeb, and the territories of the Hittite, Amorite, Canaanite, Perizzite, Hivite, and Jezebite. There's 31 kings. I'm just going to read 31 kings. 31 kings. The king of Jericho, 1. King of Ai near Bethel, 1. King of Jerusalem, 1. King of Hebron, 1. King of Jarmuth, 1. King of Lachish, 1. King of Eglon, 1. King of Gezer, 1. King of Debir, 1. King of Geder, 1. King of Hormah, 1. King of Arad, 1. King of Libnah, 1. King of Adullam, 1. King of Makkedah, 1. King of Bethel, 1. King of Tappuah, 1. King of Hefer, 1. King of Aphek, 1. King of Sharon, 1. King of Madon, 1. King of Hazor, 1. King of Simoon, 1. King of Ashaph, 1. King of Tanakh, 1. King of Megiddo, King of Megiddo, 1. King of Kadesh, 1. King of Jokneam in Carmel, 1. King of Dor on the hillsides of Dor, 1. King of Goim in the Galilee, 1. And King of Tirzah, 1. The total numbers, 31. That was Joshua 12. Joshua 13, lands remaining unoccupied, a general survey of the land, the tribe of Reuben, tribe of Gad, tribe of Manasseh. 14 is the 3 great tribes on the west of Jordan, described as the portion of Caleb and the tribe of Judah. Caleb's were occupying territory of Hebron. Names of places possessed by Judah are listed there in 15. 16 is a tribe of Ephraim, tribe of Manasseh is 17. Joseph's sons are in the forest, that's 17. 18 is a land survey for the 7 tribes, tribe of Benjamin, towns of Benjamin, tribes of Simeon, tribe of Zebulun, tribe of Issachar, tribe of Asher, tribe of Naphtali, tribe of Dan. Chapter 20 is the privileged cities, cities of refuge and Levitical cities, portion for the Korathites, the portion for the sons of Gershon, portion for the sons of Merari, and the end of the apportioning. Tribes from across the Jordan are sent home. That's 22. Joshua finishes his course, the return of the eastern tribes and the questions about their altar. The altar is built beside the Jordan in 22. Eastern tribes rebuked. Tribes from across the Jordan clear their name, and peace is restored in 22. 23, Joshua sums up his work and a rule of life among the foreign peoples. 24 is the great assembly at Shechem, Israel's vocation set forth. Israel chooses the Lord, covenant at Shechem. 2 additions were the death of Joshua and the bones of Joseph and the death of Eleazar.